You any reaction and a quick takeaway before we move to the other part?
Hello. Yeah, no, it was an amazing panel. Thank you so much. I just have perhaps 2 or 3 quick points. The first one is thank you, Veronica, for bringing the demographic transition, right? Because I think when we discuss youth, we have to discuss youth into a dynamic perspective, right? Because the youth eventually you become old as well, right? So we're talking about how population is structured and how we are dealing with the different transitions. And the most structured transitions we have is precisely the environmental transition, the digital transition, and the demographic transition. And that happens in the context of high inequalities, political polarization, and of course, we're all scared about security and war, and they're close to that scenario, no? So these are the main things that are happening today. And when we discuss demographic transition, and I'm speaking from my background as a scholar on development studies, in the 80s, 70s, 80s, people were concerned about how to get rich before become older, right? So that was more or less the challenge of the nations, right? So basically, increase productivity. So when we reach a stage in which the ratio between economic active population and inactive population deteriorates, so we have enough productivity and people, basically retirees can be sustained by your workforce that's be shrinking. And that was the challenge in many of the countries in Europe, in Japan, to some extent US, they've gone through it. And then they realized, it's not only about getting rich, but to getting rich in a sustainable way. So they need to change, the entire development model to adapt. And they can do that because they have this enabling environment. For Africa, it's a different thing. So it's not about getting rich before getting older, but getting rich in a sustainable way and in a different way. So it's not going to be replicate the same development model, but a different one. So that's what we're discussing. In some countries like Brazil and China is moving very fast actually in terms of getting older, are in a kind of midway. So because they have to really accelerate that. So I think this is a very important discussion. The second one is about green jobs. And when we talk about green jobs, the first thing is to measure it. Because if you don't get measured, we can't manage it, right? So we need to have really detailed models looking at occupations and accounts, looking at the employment profiles, and identifying what is a green job. And then there are 3 types of layers. The one is what is the green job, the job in the green sectors, which are the sectors related to environmental sustainability. The second layer is greening the existing jobs, and that's why we also have this commitment in the pact, right? And the clear example is the construction sector, and it has to go through a greening process, the entire construction sector, and other sectors. Then there is the job that it's not green and is not going to be green and has to disappear, because if you want to be serious about transition, we have to phase out fossil fuel. We have to phase out coal mine. So these jobs, they're not going to go green. They have to disappear. So that's basically what I think we should be aiming at. Yeah? So that's what how we in the ILO we put the 3 things. And finally, I think I totally agree. I think the participation of young people in this debate is so essential, because this is about the future, for you, for your kids, and that's the basis of the sustainability. So these are my main takeaways. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much to all these excellent panelists, and thank you, Vinicius. I'm very happy also that we have the 3 UN agencies here. So I'm going to give now the floor to our colleague from UNICEF, Youssef Abdel Jalil, for the next panel. We won't have time for questions and answers, unless there's a burning question when the new panel starts.